Rev up your engine! Now this is a classic Z06. They made a couple thousand of them or so. They hold their value for sure, not just because they're fiberglass and they don't rust. This car's averaged about 2,000 miles a year. It's only got 40-something thousand miles on it now. And it's certainly a driver's car, because these Z06s, of course, they only come with standard transmissions, but it's the engines these are known for. The American V8 Rumble. This is basically a big boy go-kart, a V8 engine and rear-wheel drive. And there it is. It's naturally aspirated, puts out 406 horsepower. It's not the high-tech monster that some of the modern ones are. Back in the day with these, they built them like they were supposed to, and people weren't suing them because the wheels were breaking and falling off when you went down the road. Of course, it's got the classic push-rod engine, and yeah, they have a little bit less power, but let's face it, you ain't need more than 405 horsepower. Now, if you're as old as me, you're gonna say, well, these aren't very convenient cars. They're fun to drive and anything, but hey, they don't even have a trunk in the back. There's nothing in there but a gas tank. Well, things have changed, even though this is an older car. Check it out. Yes, these do actually have trunks. They got a reasonable amount of space, too. They understood years ago that guys who want to drive to play golf, go someplace to the beach, they got to have some kind of trunk. Now, if you're looking for something like this, they only made a couple thousand, so it's kind of a rare car. But just make sure you check the undercarriage. Sure, they got fiberglass body parts, but, you know, they still have a metal frame. I've had many people buy these, only to find out that later the floor panels were rotten through. There's still a lot of metal in this car. Don't be surprised that it's all rotten if it's old and not taken care of. But of course, the main advantage of a car like this is, since they only made a couple thousand of them, they're collector's items from the get-go. Guys buy them, they take care of them, they don't drive much. This thing's been 2,000 miles a year, so they can be in excellent shape if you buy yourself a used one. You paid less than 30 grand for this. It's in beautiful shape. I was driving a 2013 Shelby Cobra GT500. It listed for like 55 grand. Well, you try finding a car for 55 grand that did 200 miles an hour like that thing did with 667 horsepower, you know? So if you're looking for this type of car and you want that kind of speed, you buy a normal car, it immediately starts depreciating like mad. You buy one of these in this kind of shape and take care of it, it's more of an investment than anything else, especially since it's a push-rod engine, relatively simple. It doesn't have all that new technology that the new ones do. It's tried and true. Take the owner of this one. Not only is his garage heated, but it doesn't go out in the winter when there's salt on the road either. So, they're taking care of their baby, and there's nothing wrong with finding a good used one. So, let's take it for a spin. Now you're gonna feel bumps because it's low to the ground, but it's not bad. So if you've seen in my other video about the mid-engine Corvette, they have that magnetronic suspension where the fluid gets electricity and it can make it thinner or thicker. And when that was on a cruise ride, it rode like an old Cadillac smooth, and when you put it on race mode, it was more like this. This, you can't put it on the cruise mode where it rides like a dream. It's a driver's car. It's not a rider's car. But handling, this thing handles like a race car. It is fun. To take off, there goes the V8 engine. Smooth, torquey power, that great sound. These are driver's cars. And hilariously enough, what he paid for this car, guy just came from Rhode Island the other day, and his girlfriend brought a brand new Civic. He paid $32,500 for that Civic. For a Civic that's only going to decrease in value, where this thing would actually go up in value. Now, as we see the future of energy, or what they claim to be the future energy, spinning in the sky, I have to say, if this is the past of energy, give me the past! It's a lot more fun. Doesn't have to be replaced every 15 years like the windmills do. Now, yeah, you do have to climb in and out of these things, you know? Now, the owner of this car happens to be the same exact age as me, 68. Everybody's got a story. This is his fun toy. He's not going to lose money on it, and he's not a maniac driver either. You know, the kids get a hold of one of these, the first thing they do is they throw a supercharger on it and they start messing around with it. It's plenty enough fun the way that it is with 406 horsepower. Being a limited edition one, it's going to keep its value, and if you start modifying it, my advice is don't, because then you're going to lower the value of it. On top of, you're probably going to wrap it around a tree too. If you're thinking about getting one of these, might not be a bad time to get one now, before there's even less of them and the price will get even higher. Hey, let's face it, the new Vets, The wheels are breaking. The hoods are flying open. Hey, the hood can't fly open on this, it opens the other way. And really, I have to say, I agree with the owner. I like the back like that. I think it's got a really nice look. The modern ones are more European looking cars. This still looks like an American car. They're not trying to copy Ferrari and all that stuff to make them all look the same. It's got a interesting style on it. You can find a lot of these around if you take your time and make sure it doesn't have rust on the frame. And if it doesn't, hey, it's gonna last a long time as long as you keep it insured. Get the special insurance, of course. You buy one of these, you get it appraised. Then you get the insurance for it. You get a rider for that, and it doesn't cost that much extra money, because you're going to be really peed if you pay 30 grand for one and it's stolen or it gets smashed up and they say, oh, that's an old car, we'll give you 5 grand for it. No, you got to get a rider on your insurance to say what the car's worth, so if something happens, it's a fair deal. I have had customers not do that. I unfortunately had a customer once too who bought one and said to the guy, oh, okay, you got the title, give me it, I'll just drive it home. Guess what happened on the way home? He was rear-ended and the car was totaled, and he got nothing out of it. So, you know, use a little common sense. When you buy one of these things, get it insured correctly, and you can have a lot of fun for really a small amount of money considering what cars cost these days. And here's some bonus questions and answers. All right, here we have the giant discord between actual business and government bureaucratic baloney. Ford has found that the EV adoption of actual businesses is nothing near to what they thought it was going to be. Of course, the government's pushing electric vehicles, right? Ford's making these electric trucks, and they think, oh, great, all the businesses will go buy these electric trucks. Businesses have to deal in the real business world, not this fantasy regulated nonsense where they think they can control stuff that they don't understand at all. I know guys that run businesses with trucks. They told me they're not touching electric trucks for a long time. They have no idea where they're going to charge them up when they're in the middle of nowhere. Are they going to hold up? They know they're making money with the situation that it is now. Why should they put a big investment into vehicles that they don't even know if they're going to work right? Nobody knows how to fix the stupid things, and they think, oh, they're going to flock and buy our vehicles because of the specs. No, they're not going to. And as anybody who's read anything about electric vehicles, when they pull and tow stuff, their range goes down the toilet. Like the Tesla one where the Canadian guy towed his boat. He went 80 miles and he only had a third of the power left. They're supposed to go 200 something miles. He went 80 miles, he had 130, couldn't make it back, towing his boat. And that's just towing a stupid little boat. These guys, their businesses are running stuff with trucks. They're not going to take a chance with electric stuff. They're in the real world. They're not in this fantasy Washington ivory tower where they're all dancing around, all happy with their PC decisions. Get in the real world where people are actually working. Businesses are not buying these things like they thought they would. Ford's BS line is, and I quote, "The Lightning pickup and e-Transit van are targeted at real people doing real work." Yeah, and that's a real fantasy. This thing hasn't been out long enough. People don't trust it. If I had a business where I was doing that, I wouldn't chance it by buying an electric vehicle. It could be a complete bust. Every day you lose, something goes wrong with them. Good luck fixing. Look at Teslas. Sometimes it takes months to fix their cars. Guys don't know that much about fixing the vehicles. You don't know if they're going to last. You're worried about recharging them. You're not going to see businesses ram up and start buying these things like their fantasy was. Let's talk about real businesses in the real world. They can't be like Ford where they're all raising the price of their Broncos at these dealerships 10 grand over list because they can, because there isn't enough of them. Hey, that's not real business. That's ripping people. It's taking advantage of a situation. They're finding that these guys who run actual businesses are not flocking to buy these electric trucks, and I don't blame them. They say they expect a third of the full-size pickup to be 1/3 electric by 2030. Yeah, this is their forecast because they're making them. They want to sell them. It'll be a lot longer than that, if ever, that it's going to be the major thing with people. Businesses, they got a bottom line. This isn't like Washington. All they do is change the paperwork and say, hey, we don't have a deficit anymore because we moved it to next year's budget. No, these guys run actual businesses and they're not flocking to these things. It doesn't surprise me. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.